Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, everyone. Depends on which part of the world you are. I'm Selwyn Thomas. I'm the Chief Executive of Talent Rep Consulting. We consult a number of nations, but today I'm going to be sharing with you my thoughts around digital disruption in HR and the impact of that within the HR function. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in the next 15 minutes. And what a plethora of speakers we've had. It makes life difficult because everyone's given a lot of substance there. And for me to add is going to be hard. Nevertheless, I'll do that. One you can clearly say is a HR pro by the story that they give. And clearly say Selwyn George is one pro because he gave a very nice story. And here I am. I'm going to start my session with a story as well. But this is going to be a real story. I started driving when I was in 8th standard while I was in school. Probably an early teenager, steal my dad's car and drive around. And later on, 3 years or 4 years before, I decided that I will not drive the car anymore. Two reasons. One, I was not feeling confident about my responsiveness to a situation. And number two, I had moved to Chennai back in India for a while to start a business. So there's no way I could drive back in India with all the traffic that is there. And what did I do? I bought a European car, a high-end model, a lot of features there. And I bought the car, and like I said, I can't drive, so I got a driver. Since then, I've had 3 drivers to drive me through using that car. But what has happened, 80% of the car features were never used because the drivers that I've had, they don't know how to work it. It could just be the GPS, the auto lights, or wipers, or lane tracking, whatever. The car has got everything there, but none of the systems the driver understands to make it work. This, in essence, is what is happening within the business as well. Industries invest a lot of money in order to bring the technology up. They put a lot of infrastructure in order to bring up to speed with the global standards. But unfortunately, we don't have people who are there, who are already up to match up with that kind of technology that the business has put up there. So like my car driver, like my car, the industries have now got, most of the industry have got a lot of investment made, and they've got very good technologies there, but we do not have the people with the capabilities to drive that business forward. So that is where the struggle is. So here is why I am here talking to about HR roles and the competencies. Let's talk about digital disruption in business as a whole. Digital disruption did not happen the last 2 years or 3 years. It's been happening for a while. But I think HR was the last one to get onto the bus, up onto the bus. Finance, for example, they transformed to become fintech, finance technology. And then we found marketing guys transformed to become digital technology, or digital marketing. So that's how they transformed. But HR, I don't think we've transformed enough to put a brand for ourselves, to bring about an identity to which to say HR has now got technology as part of its function. We have not done that. So that is where we are at the moment. Now, as some of my the previous speakers had mentioned, now is the time, and we must do that. The HR has to get onto the bandwagon in order to make the business successful. So I'll move on to the next slide. So quickly, we look at what are the new expectations from the business or from HR post or during the digital disruption era, and what skills are required to be in the HR function as a HR professional. Automation, much we have already heard from, especially from Purvis and Selwyn George and all of these people. Automation has now become part and parcel of the HR function, right? Right from the time we start looking for candidates, from the search perspective, from onboarding, right up to offboarding, everything is now, there is technology that is involved. There is automation. Payroll gets processed. The KYC gets done. There's a lot of automation. I'm sure you would have heard about geofencing, geotagging. For a HR professional, this is a lot of technology. Like, gone are the days when someone will go swipe the card, yes, you counted, you're in. But we're talking about geotagging, geofencing. One can be working in any part of the world, but your attendance, your timekeeping is still counted in one office here somewhere. So automation is very much part and parcel. And the example that we heard from IBM, Ask HR, is something that we deployed 4 or 5 years ago here in New Zealand. At that time, we didn't know. I didn't know it was part of an IBM product. We had deployed that through ServiceNow. Fantastic product. That time, like it was mentioned, all of the HR-related questions will go through a bot. Imagine the time that saves for HR professionals. People would often ask silly questions like, I'm sorry to use the word silly, ask questions, simple questions like, when will I get paid? What is the percentage of an increase of salary? Where do I collect my uniform? Where is my ID card? And all of this, the bot would answer. But we also had some naughty employees who would go and abuse us, saying like, I'm not happy with the salary increase that you've given me. So what I'm trying to say is automation has become a part and parcel of HR function. So HR people must get used to it and be proficient enough to use it. And automation is now part of the HR function. And what is the capability, the competency that the HR professional should have is now you should be more proficient in understanding, in configuring HR technology. So that has become important. The second one is data-driven decision making. This is absolutely great. It puts HR in a different realm altogether. HR people are used to doing very good admin job, do a lot of firefighting, but we were never considered seriously by business because we didn't speak the language that the business normally speaks, that is using data. So here, HR, we are here to give the business with all the relevant data to make the data-driven decisions, not only for them, even for us. I want to emphasize on one point. The other businesses will probably have to go gather data, but for HR, you always had data. The payroll data, the employee demographics, all of these were always with us, just that we didn't know how to use the data. So we don't have to go and dig for more data. That data is already there. The payroll data is there. Every data about the demography of the employee is there. We just need to learn how to use the data, do the data mining, do the data analytics to make those information relevant to the business. Once you do that, the business will start recognizing our function. Some of the things that I've done, and some of those professionals who use data driven decision making is you can actually predict absence. In where I live, I can actually say in June or July, be careful, guys. There's going to be a lot of absence because it's school holidays. Moms don't come for work, and it's probably sunny, and they go for holidays. So we predict and keep the business informed. Be careful. You're going to have a lot of absence. We can also predict attrition. We can tell you this is what is happening now. Watch out, this is going to happen there. So a lot of data points that we can correlate, connect, and predict. So data-driven decision making is what business would love to do, and I don't think there's any other function that can provide so much people-related data other than HR professionals ourselves. So data analysis skills is another competency that HR professionals must have. Let's move on to the next point. Employee experience enhancement. Look, we talk about employee satisfaction, but what really drives employee satisfaction is employee experience enhancement. So if you give good employee experience, needless to say, it will automatically drive employee satisfaction. So how do we do employee experience enhancement? We talk about gamification, make it interesting using digital technologies. And we use digital onboarding. We've used technology in the part of the world that we live in Australia. We use onboarding. By the time an employee comes in, when we fire out an application, they fill out the address, and before we tell them anything, the system would take over from there and tell you, Mr. Peter, for you to get to office, it's going to take you 20 minutes if you were to drive, 15 minutes if you were to take a bus, 5 minutes if you were to take a train. And it'll also look at whether they want a child. Okay, here's a nearby, there's a kindergarten, and it can look at what kind of food that you would prefer, and here's a restaurant. and here's where you can park your car. All of that, Google has got the data. Just by giving that information, that makes employee experience wonderful. Employee experience right from the time they onboarded till we offboard. There are a lot of things that we can do using technology. So this is where design thinking comes. So HR professionals, functionaries would now necessarily need to have design thinking. So it's not having the traditional HR process that we always had. We have to be more creative, use technology, use design thinking to provide employees with a good experience. That will result in a good employee satisfaction. Needless to say, they'll stay longer. And then let's move on to the next point, remote work. Remote work, we all know, most of the businesses were not prepared, but the pandemic forced on us. So most of the companies, not most, all of us had to move to a remote working arrangement where we had to work from wherever that we are. However, most businesses were not prepared how to use remote working and still be able to be efficient. One of the things that businesses and employees mostly need to understand is that using remote work, we stop measuring people by the time that they work, but we start measuring by the output that they do. So that's how the shift that is happening. It's no longer you have to clock in and clock out. What is more important to measure what you've really done. And supervision is a huge challenge because you're no longer looking at the monitors. You're not looking over the shoulders to see they're working or not. There's a much better way of doing it. So remote working is not new for us now. We've got used to the last 2 years, but we are still learning. Technology can do lots of stuff, but we still need to learn. We started using collaborative tools. We use Flock, and we use Teams. We use Skype. We now got used to how we use collaborative tools in order to make life easier and make it more efficient. And continuous learning and development. This is another big advantage when we use digital technologies. LinkedIn Learning. Now you no longer have to have your own curriculum. There is so many curriculum out in the world. So in the wide world, www, the internet, there is so much information that is there. You just have to link to those learning modules that are available. In the past, we would start from scratch, create our own learning modules. Now we can have a smart LMS system that will connect with those, so you can really bring down your own specific modules and keep the other modules connected to the so many other providers. So good understanding of LMS is something which has become very necessary. LMS is one area where we don't need to do the traditional method of learning and development, invest in classrooms, spend more time, get people off work and put them on a system. Now people can learn at their own time, at their own preferred method. It could be a laptop, it could be a mobile phone, it can even be the work desk. So that is one other thing. Then the last and most important point is that employee data protection. Now we've talked about digital technology. All of what we said about here relates to employee data. But this is something that we need to be extremely careful and be sensitive. US has got protocols, Europe has got protocols. For those of us that we work globally, it's not the same as we work in India. So there is a method as to how, there's a process as to what is shared and what we do not share, and to what extent can we share. So employee data protection is extremely sensitive. So HR professionals, in terms of competency, you also need to understand and get yourself equipped with cyber security awareness. There's a lots more. I've just given you a glimpse with those 6. But look at what this has done to us as a HR function. When some of us started a HR journey, there are only 2 competencies. One was employee welfare, another one was special management, where the employee welfare role would look after the employees, keep them warm, keep them nice. But if they do any mischief, the personal manager would take them to task, and dismiss them or show cause them, and all the disciplinary is done. That was the role of the HR people or the personal management functionaries then. But it's no longer the case. We've now become extremely strategic. Like I said, there is so much that we can do. Having said that, the expectation of the role has now changed. Therefore, the candidate preference has also changed. These days, for a HR professional, companies are looking for someone who comes with a tech background. As you can see, there's a lot of technology involved. So we're now looking at HR professionals who come with a technical background. Now, Selwyn George is a good example. He is an aeronautical engineer from one of the premier institutes, but he made the transition long ago. But Now, lots of other businesses are now looking for HR people who have a technology or an engineering degree or a diploma so that they can navigate technology along with the HR knowledge. And analytical mindset is another preference that the candidate need to have. So if you want to be a successful HR functionary and you want to go up the career, you need to have those skills. And strategic outlook, HR people are used to being admin people, just doing and managing the functions and supporting all of the functions and not being strategic in order to support the business in terms of what we can achieve in the future for the future. So strategic outlook is one other where the candidate preference for a HR candidate, sorry, for a HR professional is. And then some of us, we talked about already inclusiveness. HR, we still in India, we see there's a lot of practice in saying we want male or female. We talk about this age group and this gender. All of that is changing. So going forward, HR people need to be equipped and need to understand. We need to be more inclusive because it's going to be mandated soon. Globally, many countries you can't have those what we call it as a discrimination based on age, race, religion, any of those. So inclusiveness is something that's becoming very critical for HR professionals. And last but not the least, a collaborative. HR was very efficient, working in silo, supporting where there is asked, but now we become the expectation is that we work in a very collaborative manner so that we support, we understand what the other departments, what the other functions need, and therefore we support them. So I'll just conclude with these words. The impact of digital disruption on HR is multifaceted, transforming traditional roles and necessitating the acquisition of new competencies. HR professionals must embrace technology, adapt to change, and develop a strategic mindset to navigate the evolving digital landscape. Uh, Thanks, folks. Thanks for the invitation. Great to be here. I hope this 15 minutes was useful. Thank you so much. Back to you.